Hi Flosstube, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. Wanted to hop on today. It's been a little bit overdue. I did hop on a couple weeks ago, but it was very quick and to the point. And you know, it's not really me if I'm not rambling. So I'm going to try my best to keep it under wraps today. Not too many rambles, we'll see, but I have a lot to talk about. So I have things surrounding me in pretty much everywhere you can look, if you were to see my space in any other angle, but because I have a ton to show and a ton to talk about. So my agenda going forward, even though I don't have that written down in front of me, is number one, I want to get through the 24-hour January marathon giveaway. So I have the winners of that pulled, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done first and foremost. Number two, I want to talk a little bit about February and what I stitched in February, what I did, what was occupying my time, and talk about how I made the most ridiculous goals ever and didn't meet them. So we're going to look at February. And then we're going to talk about March, which, for those of you that know me, no, Stitch Madness has been my thing for the past several years. So when I started, it's actually like my Flosstube recording anniversary started during Stitch Madness 2 years ago in 2018. So I'm going to talk about what madness is looking like for me this year. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I have some coffee. It has a lid on it because I don't trust myself. My dog is behind me making lots of noise. She might stop, she might not. And I'm ready to go. So we had a lot of people participate in our 24-hour marathon. What I did was I just did a random number generator and kind of went through. So we had some prizes that we wanted to give out. So the first one that we're going to do, and I'm going to tell you guys now, and I'm going to be emailing before this is posted. So if I mention your name on here, I'm just going to mention first names and location. But if I mention your name, I will be following this up with an email while this is getting all posted and uploaded and all that kind of stuff to let you know that you should check out the video or what you want. And then I don't know what else I was saying about that. So that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to get into the winners. So I pulled 6 winners for what we were going to do. The first winner is Carrie in Wisconsin. And Carrie is going to get a gift certificate to the store Fire Poppies in North Carolina. North Carolina? I hope it's North Carolina. If it's not, I will post below. But Fire Poppies, I met the owner at StitchCon, and she is incredible. So she has really embraced the 24-hour event, and they do marathons at the shop, which is awesome. But it's on my bucket list of places to go because it's just the neatest cross-stitch store. Like, it's incredible. So she's got like stitching, like a whole setup for people to like sit and stitch while they're there. It just looks really, really nice. So she's done a fantastic job getting that up and running. So Carrie, you're going to get that $24 gift certificate. I did check with the owner and she said that it was fine to do mail order. So I know you are not near her shop, but she will mail to you. So be checking for that in your email. Sharon in Nevada, so what we're going to do is we wanted to feature something from Craft Gallery, my LNS shop as well. So Craft Gallery is known for their fabrics. Like, they have tons of fabrics just hanging up. They've got Picture This Plus, they've got Lakeside, they've got Weeks, they've got it all available. So Sharon, we're going to go ahead and we will purchase you a fat quarter of the fabric of your choice. Kind of what I'm going to ask you in your email is that you just give me kind of like the preference. Kind of looked at your stuff. I think you're an Ada person, but I want to do something that you're going to like. So if it's a fat quarter of something by Picture This Plus, if you want like a neutral or a more fun color or something like that. I don't know what they have in stock, and we're going to do what they have there. So we're not going to get into like special ordering and things like that, but we will be working with them to get that cut for you. We will have a trip out to the shop in the next couple weeks, so that will be happening. So Sharon, please check your email for that. Sue in Zambia, you have we're going to go ahead and do a $12 Etsy card for you. So that's a digital, that way you can do digital if you want to, or however that works. Just wasn't really sure how shipping to Zambia would work. So Sue, congratulations on a $12 Etsy card. Leanne in Alberta, I have a couple choices for you. So as you know, my mom makes project bags. And so we were kind of going through our stash of things that we had, and wanted to give you a project bag. And we're going to she's been playing with new sizes. And so she's got some small ones, which are super cute. So I have a couple, it's either going to be a fall theme. If you're fall, I know it's not the fall season now, but I'm stitching for fall because I want it to be done for fall. Or if you're a Halloween person, we've got a couple of Halloween bags that we could do. So you just have to tell me if you like fall or Halloween, and I will get that in the mail to you. Then we've got Heather in England. Heather, I did not check to see if you have purchased the 24 hours of cross stitch planner, but if you haven't, I'd love to send you the digital or the link to that. If you have, I have some other options that I can do for you. So I could either I'm test marketing a digital version of it. So if you're a digital planner, I could go ahead and get you that file for the test market. That's not available for ordering yet. Not till next year. It's like me trying to get all the kinks and learn how to do digital, if I can figure it out. Not making any guarantees about what will be available next year. See, I caught myself there. Or if you have purchased it and would like, I can send you my digital project cards, which come in a file something like this that you can print out to make if you pre-cut your floss, and also my whip ball card file that's up there. And I'm working on some like updates for the 24-hour planner. So if you did already purchase that, the next update pack that I'm getting ready to put up eventually when my life calms a bit, I will send that to you. So those are kind of your choices. So we will talk in email about that, but that's what I'm going to be sending over to you. And we have Heather in Maryland. And Heather, you have won one of our traditional 24 hours of cross stitch clock project bags. So very theme oriented. We like to do the themes. So we'll be sending that off to you. So thank you so much to everybody that participated and joined in. We're gearing up for April, so I hope that you're ready to have some fun with that. Like I said before, though, we don't always do giveaways. It's just we wanted to give back to this community a little bit this time. So those are where we are. So thanks for bearing with me as life got a little crazy and took me a little bit longer to get that situated than I meant to. So there's that. So number 1, done. Let's talk about February. February was hard. It's a rough month for me. I started February with like some really, really intense goals, and then life just didn't cooperate. So my head wasn't in the best space. I'm getting myself reacclimated and back to me, I think. But actually, before we talk February, I'm going to go, I don't think I ever showed, I had a couple finishes that I don't think I showed you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because I want to get these iron. They're not iron. I'm sorry. I finished this one. This was Springtime by New York Dreamer, and I don't know why I started it. I mean, I like it, and I'm glad that it's stitched, but it is not my color scheme. It's not really a me piece, and I think I started it. I kitted it for Madness 2018. Because I needed more spring things. And so I like that it's done, but it wasn't my most favorite thing that I've ever stitched. I stitched it on 36 count Country Mocha. And that was a finish. I don't remember when I got it, and if I showed it to you already, I'm very sorry. You get to see it again. I think in January, I finished Sally Spencer. I did this on 40 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. This was a Madness 2019 start. So that was done. We'll talk about Madness. I'll explain the whole thing in a little bit when we start talking about March. So for February, I had my acrostic all set, and let me just pull it up real quick because I forgot to load that. Bear with me. Okay, so for February, I really wanted to stick with Barb and Leanne's Lost in Floss's idea of finish it February. So I was like, I'm just going to finish everything. So I put my goals to either do finishes completely on a project or on some of my big ones to just finish like specific portions of the project. So the acrostic for February was Leap Year 20. And so I tied it in. got some of them done. I did not get all of my things done though. So let's see what I did. So my L was Luck by Bent Creek. I started this for Madness last year. And I did get a finish on this. This is on 32 Count Legacy by Picture This Plus. And just what called for DMC. So my mom, when Brandon and I got married, he's Irish. And so when we got married, she stitched me like all the St. Patrick's Day stuff. But didn't do this one. She has it stitched for her house, but I wanted it stitched for mine. So yeah, I like it. It was a really quick stitch then once I got going with it. So I finished that one. So that was one of my acrostics knocked out. For E, I wanted to pull out His Eyes on the Sparrow. This one I actually used for 2 letters. I used it for E, the first E and the second E, so both E's. But I did pull this out, and obviously I knew I wasn't going to finish this whole piece during the month of February. But for the first E, my goal was to finish the border, which I am not a border stitcher. But I kind of wanted it just done and out of the way. And plus, the colors I wanted to use as consistently as I could. And they're called for in the piece as well. So I wanted the border colors to be the same skeins if I could. Make sense? Did in my head. And then I also wanted to finish the letters and the house. I accomplished one of those 2 goals. Did not accomplish the other one. So I did get the border done. I'm stitching this on 36 Count Buttercream by Lakeside Linens. It's massive. And my mom was like, well, you'll get the border in and it'll make you feel like you don't have that much more to do. She was wrong. It just makes me feel like I have so much more to do. So you'll see, I got the border and I don't even know if I can, if you, I'm in center or whatever. I got the border and I got the words done. So I am doing the called for the wording, the verbiage. I like it. So I'm using that. So I have that in. I did not get the house done because I realized I do really like when I stitch to go down that side. And I felt by jumping over to do the house too, I was leaving myself this, I'm going to make a mistake. I'd rather have it all be lined up with this. I did make a mistake in the lettering, and so the lettering is off, so I know I can't use that as a guide when I go down. I think it's just like my W in Sparrow is one space too far or something, but it's all there, and I am fine with it. I'm not ripping it out. So I'm just going to leave it, but I decided not to go back and do the house that way. I did work on it more, and I probably got the amount of stitches that it would have taken me to do the house as well, but I just wasn't comfortable leaving those gaps. It's so funny because my mom worked on her piece of this. We're doing this as a stitch along. She didn't work on anything else during February. She had a monogamous February with it. And we stitch so differently. Like, she's like all over the place, and she's got, I mean, I couldn't do what she does. And it's so funny to see how it's so different. So I really am still gung-ho on wanting this to be finished for February because, have you seen Consider the Lilies? The new one by Heartstrings for Market? But I refuse to start that one until this one is finished. So, I mean, I'll purchase that one and have it in my stash before then, but I'm not going to start it until it was finished. I was going to pull out Amos Fig, and I was shooting for a full finish on him. And I did not do it. I pulled this out, I think, once during the month. And I worked on the cross. I got the lettering finished, and I worked on the cross down here. And it was just like, it was a day that I needed to just like kind of zone and stitch. And the counting in this is like, oh my God. And like, I'm tracking my stitches. I'm doing all that. I just couldn't. So I put it down, and then I just didn't end up picking it back up. So I will finish him because I have Tilly to start too. But yeah. Another failure here was P for a peacock, unicorn, and a badger by the Scarlet Letter. I wanted to get the second panel done, like totally done and filled in. I did not. I mean, I got a lot of the stuff placed in it. I worked on this a lot actually, but I did not get anywhere near I wanted to do. I think the panel went, it's like halfway through this bird, like the whole bird or this wing isn't in the panel, so it would have been all the way down. I don't think this one's a feasible goal for me to really finish this year, but I'm gonna try. Maybe. maybe not. See? I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to stress about it. Stitching is supposed to be relaxing, and I'm not going to, I think we'll talk about that when we talk about March. Why? I think you've already seen this one. Was Boo to You by Prairie Schooler. It's a cat, Mayhem. Not my Mayhem Memorial piece, but a cat that I worked on because it looks like Mayhem. And it was already in my Acrostic. So I did get a finish on that one. That is on 35 Count Mink by R&R. Just move these over so it's easier. Where am I at? The next E I did not do because that was the words in the house, but I got the words done, so it was like a halfway to my goal. Spring Alphabet was A for Lizzie Kate. Let's talk about these. I did I'm not typically a Lizzie Kate stitcher, but I love the winter and fall, Halloween one or fall or whatever, autumn of this series. And I'm also a perpetual stitcher of series that I have to finish them all. So I had this one started. I don't remember when I started it. I have it down somewhere in one of my lists. I got it finished. I don't know why I made myself stitch this. I enjoy the process of stitching these. I really like the little boxes, and I like the letters because I like typography and like the graphicness of it. But like, it is so Easter, and I don't do Easter. Like, it's just not a holiday that I really do anything with, and I just don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. So it's done, and maybe it'll look cute swapped in the frame up during that time of the year. I don't know. We'll see. It's done. And I like that it's done too because I started the summer one, and I really don't like to have two of the same thing going at once. Like, I like to just have one of a series, and then I'll finish that one and I'll put another one in. And because they're too similar. And so I have summer now that I just have to finish. It's the same thing though. It's like a color scheme that I just don't like. I got this shirt for my birthday. It says, all I want to do is drink coffee, wear pajamas, and cross stitch. Pretty much couldn't be a more true shirt for me. I actually got it from my mom for Christmas, and so she got me one for my birthday. R, Gnomes in a Garden Row. Started this with Glenn for Gnome Day Sal last year, and I got a finish on this one. How cute is this? I love these little Bent Creek rows. They're quick, they're easy. This is, though, the reason, a project like this is the reason why the Stitch from Stash formula annoys me. And I don't know how to rectify it. Because if I use that formula, this comes up like netting me a ton of money. And it's not that big of a project. But because it's so long and not very high, it like ruins the formula. And so it's like, it's classified as like one of my large projects, but it really definitely is not. I stitched this on 32 count something. And I have them so that I can swap them in and out. Because I've done Leprechaun, I've done Neighborhood, I've done Noel, and the Christmas one. And maybe other ones. I don't know. I've done a bunch of them. And Halloween. I did Spooky Row. So I wanted this one to be able to swap up because I have two frames that fit these. So seasonally, like this one can go in when I have and when it's not Christmas or something. So that one is finished. DMC. Wasn't loving the colors when I started it, so I wasn't real sure about, like, it didn't call to me. But once you started filling in more of the colors, I thought it worked out okay. Got that one finished. The Halloween game board was my 2 because it has 2 colors in it. There's crap on it. I think I showed you this one. I got this one finished. I cut the fabric and probably shouldn't have. It's a little narrow. Glenn, she was doing the Yule game board, and she has it finished so cute, like a little like roll that you can kind of keep out seasonally. And she has like little buttons for the pieces. So I think I'm going to finish this like hers. Yeah, I think so. I like it. It's done. I like it when projects get done. For as much as I start everything, I really do like when things are finished. O or 0, I decided to use Baby It's Cold Outside because for those of you that don't know, we started Baby It's Cold Outside Sal. We rebooted it in honor of Leanne and in her memory on the 14th. And so I wanted to work on that. And I didn't think it was probably feasible for me with everything else I wanted to stitch to get a finish on it. But I wanted to get at least 1,200 stitches done. And I started that one because I had 0 stitches in on it at the beginning of the month. So that's how to fit my 0. And I got a bunch done. I met my goal of 1,200. I was actually hoping to get a finish, but I got distracted with madness, so that did not happen. So I love it. I do not do individual stitches when I do, like over here. I just did like the whole row and then crossed it back, and I really like how it looks. I feel like it gives it like a very weathered, I like those stripes. They're not as prevalent in person as they are on the screen right there, but it's kind of a more tweeted effect than you get when you do individual stitches. It's kind of like, oh, there was some wind blowing against the house there or something. So that was my acrostic. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at 7 out of my 10 letter goals. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'll take it. Not gonna nix it. And considering I didn't stitch for the past 3 or 4 days, I would have had more done if I had. What else did I do during February? I had my birthday sale that started. And so I had a great birthday weekend where we got up. I was a little, I get a little in my head sometimes. It's a little, yeah, Brandon puts up with me very well, but I was a little anxious about if he got me a gift or if he didn't get me a gift. And I don't like to be that way, and I don't really care, but it just gets me in like the grumpiest moods. And so I was not very nice to him, and I'm sorry, Brandon. I didn't mean to be that way. He's hearing me in the other room right now too and being very quiet. So it started off where I was just kind of like, I just want to be by myself processing my life, you know, because I do that. And then it ended up being like this great weekend. So Brandon, he did get me a gift. He thought about me because he loves me, and I don't know why I get myself all worked up. So we have said for pretty much years that once Pandy and Mayhem were gone, we were done with cats. Like, he does the litter, I don't do the litter because of my allergies, and it's just a chore he hates. And so we're like, no more cats, we're done. Well, I've kind of been really grumpy since Mayhem because, first of all, this all happened much sooner than we thought it would happen. Did not think that we would be a cat-free family at this point. And then I don't know, like, Watson she follows him around most of the time. And so, like, I get up in the morning and she stays in bed with him. And, like, I will sit and stitch and she'll sit on the couch and stitch with me. Like, she's a good cuddler, but she's different than a cat. And so I've been, like, just like, Brandon, don't you think we should get a cat? Don't you think? And he's like, no more litter. No more litter. So, he actually was going to surprise me with a kitten and had looked into it, like how to adopt here and everything. And we were going to go and do that. And then we started house hunting. And he's like, I couldn't get you a kitten when we're going to move in a couple months or whatever. So he was like, we will get a cat. We are not going to be a cat-free family. It's okay. So get a kitten. So it was like the best thing he could have given me. He did good. And so we just sat, we got up, we stitched. I've stitched with Mom for a while. We watched a few movies. We went and got some like fancy tacos. We came home. We ate tacos the next day. Like, it was a good weekend. So I started the Choose Your Own Motto Sal by Heartstrings. I love the colors in this. It's just so stunning. I'm stitching this on 40 Count Starflower by Lakeside. And it's like, it's got like this pinkish hue to it. So it just kind of makes I like it for this piece. And, yeah, but doesn't it, like, I didn't have all the colors that I needed to start this because there are a lot of colors and I just didn't, you go and sometimes the store doesn't have them. So you have to wait. And it's always the one that you don't have that you need, So like this red, I really wanted that flower in. I had to pull it from, His Eyes on the Sparrow because I had 2 skeins in there. I'm going to need a replacement skein now for that. But that's why I wanted to get the border done because it's not going to matter if like the little pieces inside the thing are like a different shade of the same skein, you know, the same color, but the die lot might be a little different. It's just when it's like all the same thing, I get a little antsy about it. You know, me with anxiety, who would thought? So I did that in February. And then I think it's because we're house hunting. Like I'm in like this, like, I want to make everything cozy, and I want to, you know, I love my cross stitch, and I can't wait to be able to decorate and have it up on my wall. But there's so much, like, I can't see that in a house right now, you know, because I don't know what type of house we're going to get or any of that kind of stuff. So I got into this, I have to make all the things that are like yarn now. And so I taught myself to crochet when I was I was teaching. It was like one winter break, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to do yarn. So I've known how to crochet, and crochet is very mindless for me. It's very easy to just pull out and do. I like crocheting for like blankets and stuff. I don't like it for apparel as much. Like I've done a lot of scarves and like that kind of stuff, but like I got really into wanting to learn how to knit. So I did that for a while. And like I did the Find Your Fade shawl. I did all that kind of, you know, I went all big and did that, and I got it done, but it's not relaxing for me. And then the fact that my fade shawl, that's like massively massive, started to unravel, not because of me. I think it like maybe moths. I don't know. It just was very deflating that I spent all of this time and all of this yarn doing this thing that then I can't even wear. So I've just kind of put my yarn away. So, but I have all this like sock weight yarn, because really if I'm knitting, that's the texture I like. All the shawls I like are all the fingerling, sock weight, all that. So I have a ton of it, but I've not ever done anything with it. So I was like, I'm going to make a blanket. So this was, oh, there's the hook. I decided to make a scrap yarn blanket it's not really scrap because most of them are like whole skeins, but I'm using the Granny Stripe tutorial or pattern by the Attic, and just using up all my yarn. So you know, I'm trying to just kind of make it not random, which you know me, I don't do random real well. So I just have like my basket of fun yarns that I'm just like, okay, this color could come next. And I have a lot of like, I don't know how this looks yet, you know, like I have to see it done in a row to see how I'm gonna like it. And then I have some of like the solid weight, and I like all the unicorn tails that I kept buying, because but what are you gonna do with them? This only makes one stripe. So that's been my like evening project, and then take it to work and work on it like during meetings, because I focus a lot better if my hands are busy than I do if I'm like just sitting and trying to take notes. So that was February. I did a lot, I think. I mean, didn't meet my goals, but took some breaks, got myself reacclimated mentally, spent some time with people I like. So, you know, I think February was overall what it needed to be for the way it started. So that was February. So then I kept thinking, you know, what am I going to do for Madness? So those of you that know me know that I started, so I didn't like start this, like I wanted to do Mania. I was all excited. I wanted to do Mania, and I wanted to do Mania with 31 starts. So that's what prompted me to do things. And this was back in 2018. And I sat down to like get it all ready, and I'm looking at my calendar, and I'm thinking May is insane for me, because I was looking at traveling to see my parents. It was a really busy month at work. It was all these things, and I'm thinking I can't do this in May. Why don't I do it in March? And I'm like, hey, March Madness is happening. I don't watch sports, but March Madness is happening, so I'll Stitch Madness. Let's do Stitch Madness. So I decided I want to do 31 projects, 31 different designers. Because why not? So I did. Like in going into the first 2018 Madness, I didn't have that many whips. Like, I don't know. I had a few. And so I ended the year, and it worked, you know, it was fun. I ended up I was shopping at Strawberry Sampler back in the day, because it was still in Pennsylvania when I did the first one. And I went and I got like, they pre-cut all their fabrics. So I got some new fabrics. I had this whole grid about how I was going to like, so I used grid, because they pre-cut it to like, 18 by 23, I think is their cuts. And so like, I would say, you know, well, this piece will fit in this portion of the fabric. And then if I turn it this way, I can get this one out of it, just to make the most bang for my buck, because I am fairly like, I know I have a large stash, but I am fairly frugal. It may not seem like it, but I promise I don't. I utilize what I have well, I think. So, so I did that for 2018. So then for 2019, I was living here, decided my mom was going to join in, wanted to do it again, 31 projects, 31 designers. But I went huge. Like, I started Serenity Harbor. I started the Peacock Unicorn in the back. No, I didn't. I didn't do Peacock. I started Serenity Harbor. I started All Creatures Great and Small. I started Dead Man's Chess. What are some of the other big ones? I started huge projects. The tree one by Rosewood Manor. What is it? And a Forest Grew. Just huge pieces that I'm like, I'm never going to get all of these finished. I don't know what I was thinking. And so I was very overwhelmed when I was thinking about Madness for this year, because I'm thinking, I need to finish those things. Like, I don't want to not finish things. And that's what this year has kind of all been. You know, like, I've got my ABC challenge that I'm doing, and I plugged in a lot of my stuff that I want to have finished. But I really like starting big things. A lot. And so I was calculating how many pieces I had, and I was like, okay, I actually have from 2018 and 2019 Madness, I have 31 projects. So I can do this. I can maybe I'll start one project and I will work on finishing them. And I can either do a project a day, or I could do, because when I do Madness in the past, it's one day gets devoted to stitching that project and then it goes away and I don't touch anything else that day unless I finish that project. So, you know, sometimes I have finishes and I can work multiple things. Sometimes I don't, and I just put the stitches in on that one. So I was like, I don't know. And I was just like not having peace about this. And then I was going to do, so like I had a whole spreadsheet, you know, let's see, I'll show it to you. Hold on. See if it shows up. Yeah, so then it was like, you know, I made a list on here that compared like what I had finished. This column is what I finished in 2018, and this is what I finished in 2019. And so it meant that I could do a new start if I finished. This one's better. This is 2018. This is 2019, and I compared. So if I finished both of them, I was like, okay, well, on the 1st of 2018, I started Map of Huckron. Still have that one to go. And on 2019, I started All Creatures Great and Small on the 1st. So I could take the 1st and work on one of those. And then on the 3rd, I finished the thing I started in 2018 and the thing I finished in 2019. So I was like, I could do a new start on those days. Well, that wasn't really giving me the peace that I wanted either. So I just was not, you know, just wasn't working for me. So I was, again, all set, just not going to start all the things. And then I ordered, so I have on the way, I haven't gotten it yet, the Whale by Al Forrest, because that was going to be my start. Like, that was going to have never stitched anything by them. And I was going to do with, if I was doing limited designer starts or new starts, I was going to like pick designers that I've never stitched for Madness. Just like being able to highlight and show some, you know, maybe more obscure designers and things like that, and highlight, just spread it around. And it gets me out of my comfort zone a little bit to not always be, I mean, because really I would probably only stitch Heartstrings and Kathy Barrick if I just picked, you know, like, oh, that's not really true, because there's Plum Street and there's a lot of, I like a lot of designers. So that's why I decided to do the 31 designers, and it gets me out of my kind of comfort zone. So I was all set not to, and then Abby had to be like, so I'm doing Madness. I was like, really? I don't want to not do Madness. I don't want to miss out on the fun. And I think a lot of my peace comes from like starting things. And if I was a person that then wasn't finishing anything, I think I would be more overwhelmed with starting things. But I looked at my whips and I had 65, I think. 65 or 66 total. And a lot of them I know I'm going to be able to knock out this year. And I decided I had to do Madness. I wasn't feeling the peace to not do it, so I decided I had to. And this was what, Thursday that I decided? So I figured today I would just show you a little bit now about what my process was, because I have successfully now kitted up 31 projects ready to go. None of these were one of these was, okay, I'm lying. I kitted up 34 projects and I have 33 and I have one on the way. I thought I'd talk a little bit about my process and why I pick the things I do and how I went about getting these things kitted and ready to go for Madness for this year. So I'm going to show you some things on the computer. If that's not your thing, you don't have to watch. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my thought process. So the first thing I do when I'm looking to kit up 1,000 things is I go through what patterns I have. So if you bear with me, I'm going to switch so that you guys can see my computer. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Okay, so now you guys should be able to see my computer screen. So I have, when I get a pattern in, I scan it. And so this is my folder that just has, I organize it by designer, so you can see each designer has a folder. And then I still have the paper patterns of these, but they all are in here as well. I have a couple. I utilize the tag feature a lot. So I have, like, there's some that I haven't scanned yet. So like if I click on this blue need to scan, it pops up with all of the ones that I haven't gotten ready in scanned yet. And I'll put, typically if I purchase a pattern, I will go through and I will put a folder in, so I know it's kind of my version of the Xstitch app. My mom uses Xstitch, so she puts everything that she gets into that, and so she can go through. But I keep it kind of, I do it on here. So what I did was I went through my designers, and so I just kind of went through and I was like, okay, who is, what do I have by Scattered Seed? And so, that one's not, I didn't even check that one. Okay, so the red means that I've already stitched that one. The yellow means that one's in progress. And it means that I haven't started that one yet because it doesn't have anything on it. So then I went through, I did that with all my designers. And I tagged the ones that I thought about starting. This is actually one that I'm going to start. So I'm going to go ahead and tag it now. They get the purple tag. That means it's going to be a next to start thing. So I went through and I just did this, and I didn't limit myself to one per designer, but I just went through and I just put a whole bunch of things in here that I might want to start next. And so I knew that I had them all in the same place when I wanted to look at it. So that's usually my first step. Should be back now. So that's typically step one. Then what I do, like I said, is I pulled all the paper patterns because it gives me the better pictures and things like that, and I look at it. When I originally started scanning everything, I decided I would print my working copies right away, and that didn't really work real well for me. So I have binders that have some of the working copies ready, but pretty much now I just will reprint because it's here and it's ready and it's able to. But I'm pretty hard on paper, and so that's why I do utilize working copies when I'm doing my patterns. So I had that all. I'm really flustered because it's really hard to explain my thought process on doing this. So then I pulled all the projects and I started to make a list. And so I utilized a spreadsheet, and I'm going to just show you the paper forms rather than show you it on the computer. But what I did was I just kind of made a spreadsheet here. I had everything but this last column over here done that just had the pattern, the designer, the stitch count of it, because I wanted to know what size I was locking myself into this year, what the fabric it's called for, and then if I was going to do it with specialty floss or DMC. So I knew, because I pretty much didn't dive into specialty flosses until I did Madness 2018. I pretty much kept it with DMC. I was a sole DMC girl because of the way we finish things. Madness 2018 was also when I started like branching out with fabrics, because I was nervous about getting things wet, and that's how my mom frames, is we get it, nice and wet and ironed out and steamed out and all that stuff. Well, I pushed her out of her comfort zone a little bit when I started expanding how I was stitching. Most of the stuff I use still is color fast, but it just makes me a little more anxious about doing it. So I just make sure that I have that. And I knew I didn't want to have 1,000 things with everything with specialty floss, because a lot of my specialty floss is tied up in other projects because I still have a bunch of things going. And I try when I do this, I really when I pick my patterns, I try to do ones that I already have in my stash. Like I have a ton that I want to stitch someday before I die. So I try not to just be like, oh, I don't have anything by this designer, I'm going to go buy it. So it's stuff that has either been sitting in my stash for a while or, you know, I don't know. But it's stuff that I have readily accessible. I try to do the same with thread and fabrics, but that gets a little hinkier. It depends really what I have readily available that I can use. So I went through with the specialty floss and the patterns. The next step I do is I made a list of, let's see, here it is, what floss I was going to need. So, you know, I decided I was going to be starting these things. I wrote down what company it came from, the floss, you know, if it was DMC, what color numbers I was going to be needing, and then if it was Gentle Arts, all those things. And I went through my stash to see what I had because there was a lot and I don't want to spend all of my money on these things that then are just sitting in bags if I have duplicates of it. This is where like people that use specialty floss help me out here because I usually make project cards for all my thread. I pre-cut my DMC. I pre-cut my specialty floss. I can do more on that later, but I'm not going to get real deep into how I do that or how I store it. But when I use my project cards, it's not as easy to pull a thread from that project on to take to another project because it's on a card with all of the floss. So I think I've been seeing a lot of people using thread keeps. And so I think I'm going to switch to that for my specialty floss. DMC isn't as much of an investment when you're jumping in and using it. And I have so much of it that for the most part, I don't generally need to go out and buy a ton. You see those two gray baskets there? Those are my like stash scrap stuff. So the bottom one has all my DMC from like old projects that I just have on the project cards and I cut them. So it has the numbers on it. So I don't have any readily available to show you. But it has the numbers on it. And then, well, it's like this. It's one of these, but folded over and I have little holes cut here. And so I keep them in that basket over there. The one on top has all my specialty thread that's not in a project that has already been started. So if I've used it in a different project, it ends up in there when I clean out my project bags. I have another spot that I keep the ones that I haven't used at all yet. Because sometimes I buy them for a project that then I don't start right away. So, and then and I have lots of things everywhere. But I didn't want to go and have to buy 4 skeins of picnic basket because A, I can't find it anywhere, and B, when I'm only going to need a little bit in a pattern. So craft galleries where I buy all my stuff and they sell Gentle Arts in the 10-yard skeins, which means I'm generally going to be able to get a few projects out of it, you know, hopefully many projects out of it, depending on how much it's being used. But I shouldn't have to go and buy it for everything. So I ended up going through all the projects like that I started for Dark October and things like that to see maybe what skeins I hadn't started yet or if I could just borrow it from there. So now I've decided I have to make a little card that says, I borrowed Moonglow from Jack's Bash. I'm making this up. I don't think Moonglow is actually in Jack's Bash. And I put it in this one so that then if I pull Jack's Bash back out to work on, I know where that skein ended up. Make sense? That's what I'm going to do in my head. Right now there's Post-its, but then they get unsticky or I lose them. So I think little cards is where I'm kind of thinking for that. So I did that. So I limited what I was going to need color-wise for specialty floss quite significantly. And then my mom actually looked through her DMC stash and found me like 50 of the ones that she had, like new skeins that I could use for the colors I had. And then I went through my stash with the old colors and I ended up only needing to get like 30 DMC colors, which was way less than I thought I was going to have to buy. So I do the floss before I do the fabric because I like to compare. I typically don't do called for fabrics when I'm kitting up. It's usually either what I have in my stash or what I feel called to use. And like right now I'd been picking up more Lakeside since I know that that's what I like to stitch on. So I had enough in my stash. Actually, I bought one fabric for Madness and everything else was stash stuff. I don't think I've ever showed you guys how I store my fabric, but I keep my fabric in these bins, and they're in that thing right there behind me, and I have them organized by which count they are. This one is 40. I actually have a lot of 40 count right now, but I just keep the pieces in here that I've got from purchase, and then I cut to size. So like this one, I tend to just, if I know I like a color, I buy a big piece of it, and then I'll cut pieces off of it as I need to use it. So I try to cut as neatly, and like if I know, like you'll see, I'm going to have several starts on the same type of fabric because I had the cut and then I knew I could cut a little piece off and it would work for that project too, and I liked how the colors looked on it. I tend to stitch with a lot of the same colors anyway, or on the same color fabrics. I am like going out of my comfort zone on a couple, but I think it'll work. Yeah, so I'm diving into madness. Going to have 31 new starts, 31 different designers. I'm feeling at peace with it. I only have one huge start planned. The rest are either, you know, I don't think I have any minis planned, but I have small, medium, large, according to my size categories. And I think I would have really regretted it if I hadn't done it. I texted Brandon, I think it was Thursday morning, and I was like, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe I should start start madness and do madness the way I normally do it. And he was like, I'm shocked and so surprised that you've decided to do that. And I'm like, oh, shut up. Just because you know me better than I know me, you know, I don't know. So last night I went through and I got all of I have 2 bins. Sorry for the noise of the scraping. 2 bins full. Project bags for all of the new starts. I still have to print out my working copies, and but I have all the floss in there. I have all of the fabric in there. There's 2 of these bins filled with starts to do for madness, and I'm really excited about it. I'm just starting all the things isn't for everybody. It really isn't. But I think I have it down to a science. I'm pretty proud of myself that I was able to do all of the fabric and not have to go buy anymore, because I really thought I was going to have to get stuff. But like I said, I try to I use sales a lot. So like if I know Craft Gallery is having their Super Bowl sale, they didn't do that this year. They did a Valentine's Day one. So I know, okay, that's the time I'm going to pick up fabric because it's 20% off. And I buy big cuts so that then I can cut to size. He pretty much knows now. I just go in and I'm like, can I just play in the fabric section? I love Paula and Carlton. They get me. I also went through and I just made, so for my DMC, I do print out. I typed them all out. I didn't type these out just because I had such short time. And I type out that, and then I will fold. So I fold like this. There's a line on the template to make folding so I know that it's straight. I crease it, and then I'm just going to cut around the edge and punch holes, and I will pre-cut all of my DMC to go on it. So when I pre-cut a DMC, I just kind of unravel it all and then fold it. I do to about 18 inches. So it's 9. I think it's, if you pull a full strand out, I think it's 18 inches, but if I'm doing 2 strands, I fold over, and if I'm not, I clip it. I'll do let me know if you guys are interested in knowing about pre-cutting floss and how I do that and stuff, because if it's of interest, I can film about it. If it's not, nobody needs to hear me ramble about it, pretty much. I think I hit everything I wanted to talk about. Maybe. Common threaded stitcher. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Back in August, I think it was August, because I think it was just when I started my new job. Kia Bee and Tech Guy Nathan, they had started Common Threaded Stitcher, and it was this really cool way to kind of get to know people in this community. And you should check out the hashtag Common Threaded Stitcher. And it's a list of prompts for the month of March, or it was August then. And you kind of posted a picture that kind of went along the prompt to get people to know you more. different things like that. And so it was a lot of fun. People had a really great time, like expanding our community and getting to know a little bit more about the people in it. So Kia had been mentioning that maybe she would do it again. So we were like, sure, we'll help. We'll talk about it. I was like, I'm doing madness though, so I don't know how much I'm gonna talk. I'm good with things because I'm going to be like all over the place. Like my head is ready to explode. Not to mention that we are like seriously looking at houses now. And so I pretty much decided that stitching for madness this year was going to guarantee we were going to find a house and go under contract, because why not add something else to my life for March? Typically I try to match, I'm going to go back to madness and then I'll come back to Common Threaded Stitcher. Typically I try to match my madness starts to the holidays. I don't think I'm going to do that this year, because I kind of went themed and I have a whole lot of house stitching, like houses, like actual, I'm like speaking it into being with needle and thread that we are going to find a house and get this process. I don't like this whole house hunting thing. So we found one that we like thought was it. And then there were just like red flag after red flag after red flag. So rethinking what this is it means. I don't want to get into a money pit situation at all. So, but it's exciting. I'm really excited about it. We're going to see 3 more tomorrow, one we're seeing again. So fingers crossed things just take off and we can move into step 2 with the house hunting process, which involves like Pinterest and decorating ideas and things. Common Threaded Stitcher. So I have that going on too, but I'm going to be trying to keep up with the prompts. So if you follow on Instagram, it is hashtag Common Threaded Stitcher. And yeah, it's just a great way to get to know people in the community. So I think day 1 starts with introducing yourself. There will be a prompt for each day. You should check it out. So that's happening. I don't remember anything else that happened. Thank you so much for everybody for the happy birthday wishes and for the response about mayhem. It really means a lot. Yeah, means a lot. So I think that's it. I don't know if any of this made sense. I now have to decide what I'm going to stitch on today. And there hasn't been one. Like, I know what project I want to end my month with. I'm going to end it with the really big one that I decided to do. I don't know what I want to stitch today. Not sure yet. I'll get there. I'm not going to tell you everything I'm going to stitch. What my hope is I will do weekly recaps where I will film and show you what I stitched for the week, so that you can see that then, because I'm trying not to lock myself totally into anything, which is a little out of my comfort zone. I do better when I have a plan. Abby and I were talking about that. Abby and then Amy, Gable Stitcher, and I were all talking about a plan and trying to find a designer that we could all start on the same day, because we have very similar stitching styles and stashes and all of those things. So we've been going back and forth about that, but I'm very thankful that Abby kind of sparked me to do this again, because I do really think I would have regretted it had I not. So thank you, Abby. She's been filming too. She's going to be filming daily, I think. So you should be checking her out. I'll link her channel below. And join in where you can. Again, do it how you want to do it. Madness for you doesn't have to be my version of madness. Make it work for you. If you're not a serial starter like I am, just start one thing, or just work on whips. Stitch. That's the goal for any of these things, is stitching. So I hope that you find your calm and make lots of X's. Is that what I usually say? Maybe. I'm going to go drink some more coffee, find something to eat, and stitch.